It's another mighty Shabbat, right? It's beautiful that the Most High brought us here together. Can you pull up Psalms 133 and verse 1? It's beautiful to have unity. Where all of our forefathers, they gathered on the Shabbat and they read the scriptures and they discussed the things in a word. They brought out lessons, they brought out points, right? There's nothing new under the sun. So let's read Psalms 153 and 1.
The book of Psalms, chapter 133 and verse 1. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity.
This is good and pleasant, right before the Most High, that brothers are dwelling together in unity, especially on the Sabbath. It's a holy convocation, right? It'll behoove you to keep the commandments and gather together with your brothers and your sisters. We're going to dive right into it. The Sabbath lesson is how to magnify your gift. Bring out 1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 12.
The book of 1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 12. Let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers,
Right.
in word, in conversation, in charity, in spirit, in faith, in purity.
Right. When you come into this truth, you become a fresh, young soul, right? And for a lot of you men, who may aspire to teach or perhaps have a family one day, you have to have these qualities, these attributes, such as being in the spirit, having a faith, being pure, and being a believer. Go ahead.
Verse 11.
Verse 13.
Verse 13. Verse 13. Till I come, give attendance to reading, to exhortation, to doctrine.
Right, so this is Paul exhorting Timothy, right? Give attendance to reading, to exhortation, and to doctrine. He's encouraging him to stay in the spirit. But what else does he, because Paul is writing to Timothy a letter. And this letter consists of a lot of information and guidance on how to build the church, how to ordain everything through the Spirit, and how to construct everybody. Go ahead.
Verse 14. Neglect not the gift that is in thee.
What it say?
Neglect not the gift that is in thee.
So Paul saw multiple spirits, beautiful spirits in Timothy. All right, a lot. He said, neglect not the gift that is in thee. In other words, Paul could discern and see that there's a spirit, a gift within Timothy. And he said, don't neglect it. All right? This is beautiful because on another level, we all have a gift within us. And we have to search it out and find out, wow, what did the Lord give me? What type of gift did the Lord give me that I shouldn't neglect? Whether that be being help, whether it be charity, whether it's just me giving my exhortation, whether it's me giving water, whatever the case may be. Go ahead.
Which was given thee by prophecy, the laying on of the hands of the presbytery.
Can you Google the word presbytery? We're going to slow roast this. We're going to break everything down through the Spirit. That's a big word.
Presbyterian. Presbyterian.
Presbytery. 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 A body of church elders and ministers. All right? So when you read again, neglect not the gift that is in thee, which was given thee by prophecy, which was the laying on the hands of the presbytery. So there's order and rank even within the church. You read about that in 1 Corinthians, the 12th chapter. You continue.
Verse 15. Meditate upon these things. Give thyself wholly to them, that thy profiting may appear to all.
That thy profiting may appear unto all. Because when you come into this truth, there's so many layers. It's an onion, right? You're not in this truth for yourself, right? You don't labor just for yourself. You're really laboring for the Lord and for those to understand the Lord's will. Can you bring out another precept? You can go to the book of 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 4.
It's the book of 2 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 4. greatly desiring to see thee, being mindful of thy tears, that I may be filled with joy. When I call to remembrance the unfeigned faith that is in thee, which dwelt first in thy grandmother Lois.
Right? So again, this is Paul speaking to Timothy. Right? That's another beautiful gift, having that faith, just a large abundance of faith. Some brothers may have more faith than the next, but that's okay. Because that brother who has that abundance of faith is there to encourage that brother and exhort that brother how to build up his faith. And that brother who may have, maybe real well knowledged in history, he's going to edify the next brother. And this brother Timothy, in this case, he has a lot of faith. So what do you think he was doing in the churches? Kind of just hiding his talent, keeping it under a rug? No, he was doing the work. He was telling men to have faith. You continue.
And thy mother Eunice, and I am persuaded that in thee also. Wherefore, I put thee in remembrance that thou stir up the gift of the Most High.
He says, stir up the gift of the Most High. Stir it up. In other words, excited, activated. Again, if you have a spirit of prophesying, don't just prophesy, 30 minutes out the week. You got to exercise that talent to its fullest potential, because you're doing this for the Lord, so His name can be magnified. You can bring out Sirach 33 and 17. I got one more.
It's the book of Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 33 and verse 17. Consider that I labor not for myself only, but for all of them that seek learning.
But for all of them that seek learning. So it may be a brother far off that just needs to understand how to build up his strength, to understand how to be a brother's keeper. You with that gift, you with that talent, what are you doing just keeping it under a rug? Just hiding your gifts so nobody else can profit. That's selfish. That's not really loving your brother either. You know how to do shoes, but you see a brother, he got a big ass hole in his shoe. You just, your shoes is holy. What are you doing? Help the brother out. Say, hey, I know how to do shoes, X, Y, and Z, I got you. The Lord gave me this gift. You want to like him, they mighty. I give you a little, verse on it, whatever. And that'll put a brother in a beautiful spirit. That can bring a brother from low to high. I got one more. You can bring out Luke chapter 19. Luke chapter 19 and we're going to read this quick parable, verse 12.
It's the book of Luke, chapter 19 and verse 12. He said, therefore, a certain nobleman went into a far country to receive himself a kingdom and to return.
And we know these parables, they really represent either Yahushua and Israel. Go ahead.
And he called his 10 servants and delivered them 10 pounds and said unto them, occupy till I come.
He said, occupy till I come. Can you Google that word, occupy, by Bashar? Yahushua is telling the 10 servants to occupy, because we're servants of the Lord. Is that Isaiah 44 and 1? You can bring that out, by Bashar, while he pull up occupy.
You said Isaiah 24?
Isaiah 44 and 1. And while you're getting that, occupy means to what? To employ, to engage, right? To remain busy, reside, or have one's place of business. You can bring out Isaiah 44 and 1.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 44 and verse 1. Yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant.
My what?
O Jacob, my servant.
Jacob, my servant. So understand, this is Yahushua speaking to his people, Jacob, his servant, the Israelites. Go back to Luke 19 and where you left off. Verse 13.
It's the book of Luke, chapter 19, verse 13. And he called his 10 servants and delivered them 10 pounds and said unto them, occupy till I come. But his citizens hated him and sent a message after him saying, we will not have this man to reign over us.
That's, again, this is all parabolic. That really speaks to the Pharisees and Sadducees. They was moving in the same spirit. We don't want, Yahushua over us. There's no king but Caesar. So the duty of these servants with their pounds and talents is to make the citizens Love Yahushua. Love the master. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And it came to pass that when he was returned, having received the kingdom, then he commanded these servants to be called unto him, to whom he had given the money, that he may know how much every man had gained by trading.
By trading, right? By magnifying, by flipping these talents. This talent it represents your gift or whatever special ability you may have when it comes to making the people love the master that went away. Go ahead.
Verse 16. Then came the first saying, Lord, thy pound hath gained 10 pounds.
And we brought in like 20 people through the Spirit, right? The talent you gave me was able to flip that and magnify the word, and now we have 10 souls. Go ahead.
Verse 17. And he said unto him, Well, thou good servant, because thou hast been faithful in a very little, have thou authority over 10 cities.
And this is special within itself. See if you faithful in a very little to the Most High, and he's going to give you over 10 cities. That's deep. You faithful in just a very little, and the Lord's going to give you that much more. Go ahead.
And the second came, saying, Lord, thy pound hath gained 5 pounds. And he said likewise to him, Be thou also over 5 cities.
So the Lord is distributing, and like it's in Sirach, what is that? The Lord isn't a niggard. He's going to be very liberal of his meats. And in other words, his reward, he's very liberal. After all, the labor is worthy of his reward. You're worthy of the reward that you put in by utilizing your talent to the maximum potential. Let's bring that out real quick in Sirach. I want to say the 30th chapter. Might be 31. Let's see. You can bring out Sirach 31 and 24.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 31, verse 24. But against him, that is a niggard.
That is a what?
That is a niggard.
Not a nigga, right? But a niggard. Let's Google the word niggard for those who may not know. Niggard. A stingy or ungenerous person. But against him that is a niggard of his meat, the whole city shall murmur, and the testimonies of niggardness shall not be doubted of. So a lot of men, you're niggards.
All right.
You're selfish. And you're selfish of your talent. You don't need to know about my gift and how I can do clothes and shoes. You don't need to know that. I get my money. You may not pay me. I'll take my business elsewhere. The Lord's going to catch up with you. He's going to catch up with you. Because like it said in Matthew the 25th chapter, what you do to the least, that's what you're doing to Yahushua. So you can go back to Luke 19 and where you left off. 18?
Verse 20.
20.
It's the book of Luke, chapter 19 and verse 20. And another came saying, Lord, behold, here is thy pound, which I have kept laid up in a napkin. For I fear thee, because thou art an austere man. Thou takest up that thou layest not down, and reapest that thou didst not sow. And he said unto him, Out of thy own mouth will I judge thee, thou wicked servant.
Thou what?
Thou wicked servant.
Thou wicked servant. Because you was being a niggard. You don't want to distribute what gifts that was given unto you. The Most High gave you that gift. You don't think he can take it away from you? Yeah, brother, you was mighty in the Hebrew. Yeah, brother, you was mighty in uploading videos, going into the history, going to the language. You was mighty in these things. But, you don't want to reach out to your people. You don't want to serve the Lord. The Lord can easily snatch it away from you. The same way he gave it to you holy, and he can just rip it off. He can take it away. And the Lord's known for taking away people's gifts and talents and authority. Look what happened with Aaron. What happened with Aaron? Does anybody know?
He was stripped.
Gosh. Stripped of his garments in front of the whole congregation. And it was put on Eleazar. Kind of ripped it off and then put it on another man. The Lord can do the same thing with your talent. take that talent from you and give it to another soul that's going to do something with it, do something real profitable. You continue.
Reading on. Thou knowest that I was an austere man, taking up that I laid not down, and reaping that I did not sow. Wherefore, and gavest not thou my money into the bank, that at my coming I might require my own with usury?
Right, remember, it's the Lord's. It's not your gift, brother. That's not yours. It's the Lord's. You see how you just said, wherefore then gavest not thou my money into the bank, that at my coming I might have required mine own with usury. Go ahead.
And he said unto them that stood by, take from him the pound, and give it to him that had 10 pounds.
What did he say?
Take from him the pound, and give it to him that had 10 pounds.
So there you go. The Lord's taking this man's talent and giving it to the next. And here you go. Go ahead.
And they said unto him, Lord, he hath 10 pounds. For I say unto you, that every one which hath shall be given, and from him that hath not, even that he hath shall be taken away from him.
It shall be taken away from you. So you know your ability in the past, you may have been a brother that did a video every day on fire, just different topics. You could have been a brother doing whatever the case is, whatever your specific talent was, now it's you slowly stopping, slowly withering away. You don't got no more fruit. You're an old, stale, crusty tree with mold on it. So, you got to magnify your gifts in these last days. It's imperative. Because the Lord's coming back any second. And he's going to come back in the same spirit as in this parable. With that, I yield.
So the thing when they're going into magnifying your gift, you have to know, first of all, what that gift is, and you got to understand it's important to know your role in this thing in order to magnify the gift. Everybody isn't the same or have the same position. Like get 1 Kings chapter 4, verse 1.
It's the book of 1 Kings, chapter 4, and verse 1. So King Solomon was king over all Israel.
Right, so it says Solomon was king over all Israel. Right, so you had King Solomon was over the entire nation of Israel. That's only one king. Right? Everybody can't be the head honcho, man. Right, so you got one king, right? You reading?
Verse 2. And these were the princes which he had, Azariah the son of Zadok, the priest.
Right, so you had a priest, right? Keep reading.
Elahori and Ahiah, the sons of Shishah, scribes.
Right, so you had scribes in this thing, right? Keep reading.
Jehoshaphat, the son of Ahilud, the recorder.
And scribes, priests, recorders, right? Keep reading.
And Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, was over the host.
Right, meaning he was the head of the army. He was the general, right? Keep reading.
And Zadok and Abithar were the priests.
Right? Keep reading.
And Azariah, the son of Nathan, was over the officers. And Zabud, the son of Nathan, was the principal officer and the king's friend.
Right, so you had one man, he was over the officers, and you had another man over him, the principal officer, the top officer. Right, so all these different men had different roles within the kingdom. Right, keep reading.
And Hashar was over the household.
Right, he was over the house of Solomon. Right, keep reading.
And Niram, the son of Abdah, was over the tribute.
Right, he was over the treasures. Right, and then it goes to show that Solomon actually had 12 different men in different provinces all throughout Israel that reigned over particular lands. Right, that's order. That's what the Lord deals with. So all these men had different talents. They utilized those talents to have a functioning kingdom. Right, you see that even with the Levites. Right, get Leviticus 3 and start at 1.
It's the book of Leviticus chapter 3 and verse 1.
Right.
And if his oblation be a sacrifice of peace offering.
Right, this is going into all the different offerings when you read the first few chapters of Leviticus. Right, so if his sacrifice is a peace offering, one of the five main ones, right, keep reading.
If he offer it of the herd, whether it be male or female, he shall offer it without blemish before the Lord.
Right? That's talking about in the tabernacle when they say before the Lord, right? Keep reading.
Verse 2, and he shall lay his hand upon the head of his offering, and kill it at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation.
Right?
And Aaron's sons, the priests, shall sprinkle the blood upon the altar round about.
Right, so it said, and Aaron's sons, the priest. Right, so it's not saying every Levite was a priest, but particularly Aaron's sons were the priests. Right, because you had Levites, they did different work within the temple, but Aaron's sons were the actual priests. Right, you see that in Numbers 4. Get Numbers 4 and start at verse 4.
It's the book of Numbers, chapter 4 and verse 4. This shall be the service of the sons of Kohath in the tabernacle of the congregation about the most holy things.
Right, the sons of Kohath, those are sons of Levi. Right, so you had the sons of Aaron, those Levites were the priests. They actually dealt directly with the sacrifices, and they ate the most holy place, and they did those things, and the high priest was out of those men. But then you got sons of Kohath, they actually carried the holy things, right? That's what it's going to say. Keep reading.
Verse 5, and when the camp set forward, Aaron shall come and his sons, and they shall take down the covering veil, and cover the ark of the testimony with it.
Right, so Aaron's sons, they would actually cover the veil and all the holy things, because nobody else was allowed to touch them, right, or see them. Other Levites couldn't do that, right? So they would cover these things up, and the sons of Kohath would actually take and gather them up, right? That was their role. Now jump down to verse 24.
Verse 24, this is the service of the families of the Gershonites, to serve and for burdens.
Right, keep reading.
And they shall bear the curtains of the tabernacle, and the tabernacle of the congregation, his covering, and the covering of the badger skins that is above upon it, and the hanging for the door of the tabernacle of the congregation.
Right, keep reading.
And the hangings of the court, and the hangings of the door of the gate of the court, which is by the tabernacle, by the altar round about, and their cords, and all the instruments of their service, and all that is made for them, so shall they serve.
You see that? So Aaron's sons, they would cover these things, and then the Kohathites, they would kind of take these things, and you had these men, right, the sons of Gershon, they would come and gather the other materials. So basically, the Lord had to separate it and put all this stuff in order, man. Right, so none of the Levites all had the exact same role. And it's like that period in its truth. In Solomon's kingdom, it wasn't 18,000 recorders. You had recorder, you had scribe, you had priest, and XYZ. Right, so that's how it is in its truth. So in order to magnify your gift, you gotta really know your role within this thing. Right? So you can't, try to be like the next man or anything like that. Now, what if the sons of Gershon wanted to be like the sons of Kohath? Sons of Kohath, where they wanted to be like the Aaron's sons. They all had a particular role to make this thing function, man. I get that in 1 Corinthians 14-40, right, the classic.
It's the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 14, and verse 40.
Right?
Let all things be done decently and in order.
So the Lord had things done decently and in order. And that's what we read, and when we see how the Lord set up the sons of Levi, and certain sons had certain roles, and even in David's kingdom, it was the same way. Everybody wasn't a singer. You had singers, right, different things like that. Get Nehemiah, that's 10. Get Nehemiah real quick. Slovakia, Nehemiah, chapter, chapter 12, and start at verse 44.
It's the book of Nehemiah, chapter 12, and verse 44. And at that time were some appointed over the chambers for the treasurers.
Right, so it says some were appointed over the chambers for the treasurers. Right, keep reading.
For the offerings, for the first fruits, and for the tithes, to gather into them out of the fields of the cities, the portions of the law for the priests and the Levites, For Judah rejoiced for the priests and the Levites that waited.
Yeah, so the Lord set up certain men that was over the treasures, right? So everybody just wasn't stepping outside their role. You had certain men that had to watch over the treasures and make sure everything was done in order. You read that when you read about different kings rebuilding the temple, and they set certain men up. Everybody has their role, and within that role, you want to do it to the best of your ability. Do it with all your might, and magnify yourself within that role. So you got to find your role in order to magnify you. That's why I bring these points out to show how the Lord sets up different roles even within simply the Levites. Some people might think all the Levites are priests. That's not true. They're singers. You got porters, meaning they basically security over the temple, and XYZ. So every Levite not the same, every Israelite not the same. You got to find your role in your gift in order to magnify it. So with that, I yield.
I got a point. I just had to preach it. It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 9, and verse 10. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. For there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave, whither thou goest.
So like the brother was saying, Kabash, the brother said, whatever you do, whatever the Lord bless you with, whatever gift he bless you with, you gotta do it to the best of your ability. You can get James 1 and verse 5 from me. So that's a precept that we gotta live by. Ecclesiastes 9:10.
It's the book of James, chapter 1 and verse 5.
Because you might ask yourself, oh, how do I get a gift? It may be so super hard to you to even think it or imagine what could I be doing to magnify the ministry. You got it.
It's the book of James, chapter 1 and verse 5. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of the Most High.
Because wisdom is a gift. Us knowing that we the Israelites, knowing that we the chosen people, knowing that we got to keep the commandments, that's a gift within itself. Right, you got it.
That giveth to all men liberally.
So if you lack anything, if you lack a gift, if you lack talent, what do you have to do? You got to ask the Lord to give you wisdom, to give you that gift. And he gives man wisdom liberally. You can look up that word liberally for me. Got it. Liberally, like liberal, being liberal. It basically means freely or whatnot. So the Lord don't just give you something and you know it's super hard, you know what I'm saying? The Lord, he give it to you
I like that definition.
freely. This truth is free. The Lord said, by the truth is set on, you know. Spiritually, you know, you got it.
It's like, yeah, read that definition.
Oh yeah, it say liberal and large or generous amounts in a way that is not precise or strictly. You can continue on that verse.
And upbraideth not.
And what?
And upbraideth not.
Now here you have it, a man might give you something and he might upbraid it. Look what I gave you. I gave you this amount. The Lord don't upbraid. He don't say, look, I gave you this amount. You nothing, basically. The Lord don't upbraid. Look up that word upbraid for me. He don't speak down on you. If you ask for wisdom, you know you lacking wisdom, the Lord be like, look, he don't say, look, you don't. He don't say that. Because you got the account. Get Exodus chapter 4. What that means, say, upbraid, find fault in someone, to scold someone, to rebuke. So if you ask him, you come in that spirit of sincerity, Lord, give me that gift. Give me a gift that's right for me. The Lord ain't gonna upbraid you. And this an example is Exodus 4.
Then you go look down on you, basically.
He's not gonna look down on you like the brother said. Exodus 4, I believe it's about 9, when the Lord appeared to Moses.
10.
Or you start at 10.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 4 and verse 10. And Moses said unto the Lord, my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither hereforto, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I am slow of speech.
I am what?
I am slow of speech.
So Moses, he would have never thought that his gift would have been a leader for the whole nation of Israel.
He was slow of speech. So sometimes we don't always be fit for a position, but the Lord qualifies us. The Lord qualifies the unqualified, man. The Lord teaches the untaught. The Lord leads the leader. The Lord rises up the humble out of the dust. Right, you got it.
And of a slow tongue. And the Lord said unto him, Who hath made man's mouth? Or who maketh the dumb, or deaf, or the seeing, or the blind? Have not I, the Lord?
All right, so the Lord gave Moses the ability to do things that he would never thought he could have been able to do. You know, you got a lot of brothers that's slow of speech, or might stutter, or might have a speech impediment. Out of nowhere, the Lord blessed them with an eloquent speech. You know, you can get Ecclesiastes. So that's a gift within itself. Some people they deaf, or they can't speak. You know, they're mute. So that's a blessing. A lot of stuff that we have on our day-to-day are blessings. We are able to communicate. We are able to express how we feel. Some people, they can't do that. Some people are vegetables. So whatever the Lord bless you with, you have to be grateful for it. It's James 1 and verse 17.
It's the book of James, chapter 1 and verse 17. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above.
No, it's from below.
It's from above.
No, it's from the so-called white man.
It's from above.
No, it's from your mother and your father.
It's from above.
So it's from above. Every good gift, every righteous gift, everything that the Lord blesses with is from above. Understand? So let's get Ecclesiasticus or Sirach 11 and verse, start at verse 10 for me. Papa show.
Ecclesiastes
Sirach, that's what I meant. Sorry.
11 and 10.
Yeah, 11 and you can start at verse 10, or verse 11.
Okay. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 11 and verse 11. There's one that laboreth and taketh pains and maketh haste, and is so much the more behind.
And that's kind of like how our parents were. People in the world, they laboring to get riches, they labor to get, and they're in a hurry to get it. But it's about the journey. It's about the things that you come across in that journey to get that gift, to be with the Most High. Continue.
Again, there's another that is slow.
That is what?
There is another that is slow.
So sometimes your gift may not always appear suddenly. Like, for example, me, I didn't always know how to teach. It was a process, you know. Even in a leadership position, that's a process as well. So a gift that the Lord give you, it don't always come just like that overnight. Right? It can happen, but let's continue.
And have need of help.
And have need of what?
And have need of help.
Right, you got it.
Wanting ability.
So a lot of our people, we want ability. You might want to give. At one point, I wanted to know how to drive. I wanted to know how to drive bigger trucks. You might want to know how to teach. You may want to know how to bring it out, Mike. You may want to know how to be a leader. Let's continue on that.
And full of poverty. Yet the eye of the Lord looking upon him for good.
So the point is, you gotta want it. Whatever the Lord blesses you with, and open up your understanding, like, I possibly can be a teacher, I possibly can be a leader. You actually have to want that. And I just want to close off with this scripture right here. I believe it's 1 Kings 11 and verse 28.
It's the book of 1 Kings, chapter 11 and verse 28. And it reads, And the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor. And Solomon, seeing the young man, that he was industrious.
That he was what?
That he was industrious.
Can you look up that last word for me? Industrious. Because that's what we got to be in this truth. We got to be industrious. So even Solomon saw that Jeroboam was industrious. He was a young man. So a lot of us, we get on ourselves like, dang, I'm too young to do this. I'm too young to teach. The Lord said not to let no man despise thy youth. You know, that's in 1 Timothy, I believe, 4:18, or if I'm not mistaken, something like that. Or you got it. So, what's like industrious? It means to be diligent, hard working. So when the Lord see that you're a hard worker for him, you reading, you come to kept on time. Anybody, the Lord can raise up anybody to be the next leader or the next teacher or next mighty speaker. Anything, man. Like example, Brother Yario, he wasn't always doing the camp of work. But out of nowhere, the Lord blessed him with that gift.
Bring that out.
And the brother is, he mighty in that thing. So you could be the next, scribe. Look that brother right there. Brother right there, Abad. He wasn't always scribing. Now the brother, he's scribing whole videos in one day. 3 whole videos in one day.
Yeah.
The Spirit is working with that brother. Right? So that just show you the Lord can place you wherever he wants you to place you at. Hey, it's going to be mighty. But you got to want it. So you got it, brothers.
A quick precept to land me back on something you brought out. It's Psalm 78, verse 7. How the Lord, like how Moses wasn't like really expecting to get put in that role, really. Like he just couldn't believe it.
Psalm 77.
Yeah, 78 and 70. You know,
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 78 and verse 70.
right?
He chose David, also his servant, and took him from the sheepfolds,
Right?
from following the ewes, great with young. He brought him to feed Jacob his people, and Israel his inheritance.
Right. He said he was following eels great with young. Right? It was a female lamb, like sheep, so he kind of was following, he was basically tending the sheep. He went from following pregnant eels around to feeding Israel with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and being a mighty man over the whole nation. Do you think he was expecting that? You think David just playing his music, taking care of the sheep, and just doing his thing, man? You think he was expecting to be the king over Israel? It was expected for Saul. He was the tallest man, he was handsome, he was a mighty warrior, everybody knew Saul. Right? So when the Lord sent Samuel to go to the sons of Jesse, he going through all the sons, he like, David? What do you mean, David? Yeah, I got it up.
I got a quick point after that too.
Yeah, you got a point real quick?
Yeah, cause
Like you were saying, everybody expected Saul to be king because his outer appearance, how he looked, he's supposed to be in that position. But David really had those inward characteristics of actually being a king. So that just show you, the Lord doesn't go based off looks, age, anything, man. The Lord goes off in here. That's why the Lord said, I know him in his heart. I know his heart, So I just want to bring that point up.
Now, we can actually, you probably just got to start at the top. 16:1.
The book of 1 Samuel, chapter 16 and verse 1. And the Lord said unto Samuel, How long wilt thou mourn for Saul, seeing that I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill thy horn with oil and go. I will send thee to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons.
Right?
And Samuel said, How can I go? If Saul shall hear it, he will kill me. And the Lord said, Take a heifer with thee, and say, I am come to the sacrifice to the Lord.
Right? So the Lord said, use righteous God. Right? Read.
And call Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show thee what thou shalt do. And thou shalt anoint unto me him who I name unto thee.
Alright, so basically he got this horn of oil, he got to see, the Lord will basically tell him who to anoint with that oil. That's the king of Israel, the new king. Because in the previous chapter, the Lord kind of rejected Saul because he wouldn't listen, man. He kept rebelling against the Lord and doing his own thing. Right? Bring it out.
And Samuel did that which the Lord spake, and came to Bethlehem. And the elders of the town trembled at his coming.
They did what?
They trembled at his coming.
Why do they tremble at a prophet of the Lord? You don't tremble when you see the bald-headed pastor. Right? They smile, they kind of pull their money out, and it's all. You don't tremble when you see Pastor Porkchop. They seen Samuel, they're like, whoa, what is he doing here? Right? Bring it up.
and said, Comest thou peaceably?
And you coming in peace, right? That's why when you come around your family, they kind of, they on eggshells around you. They like, here he comes. Let's put the weed away. Let's put the sin away. Here he come. All right, that's the spirit in it. It's in. Oh, dang. What does Sam you want? All right, bring it up.
And he said, Peaceably, I am come to the sacrifice unto the Lord. Sanctify yourselves, and come with me to the sacrifice. And he sanctified Jesse and his sons, and called them to the sacrifice. And it came to pass, when they were come, that he looked on Eliab, and said, Surely this is the Lord's anointed is before him.
Right, he said, surely this is the Lord's anointed. This man right here, he's mighty, looks like a king. No, he got to be the one. All right, can you read it?
But the Lord said unto Samuel, Look not on his countenance, or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth not as a man seeth, for the man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart.
See, the Lord is looking on his spirit. He said, you may look at him, he may seem mighty, but I'm looking at his spirit, man. Right, so jump down to verse number 11.
Verse 11.
Right?
And Samuel said unto Jesse, Are here all thy children?
Right, because he kept going through all the sons. The father said, king of Israel? Yeah, check out this one, this one, and this one. And he brought all his warrior sons. He like, dang. No. Samuel said, this all you got? All right, bring it up.
And he said, There remaineth yet the youngest, and behold, he keepeth the sheep. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he come hither.
He like, hold on, man, send and fetch him. So his dad probably like, my son David, he's probably back there playing the flute or something, taking care of the sheep. You know what I mean? That's the spirit. Like, hold on, man. Like, cause why he didn't bring David along? Cause he wasn't expecting that when he mentioned king. So David was tending the sheep, but he was the one that the Lord actually chose to be a mighty, mighty warrior. All right, bring it up.
Verse 12, And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy, and withal of a beautiful countenance, and goodly to look to. And the Lord said, Arise, anoint him, for this is he.
The Lord said, this is him. All right? His brother's probably was rough and rugged around the edges, warriors. David just this so-called pretty boy, man. That's why Goliath was so damn mad, man. Am I a dog? What is this? Again, Goliath, he's like, what is this, man? What is this? This ain't no warrior. Right? So David was just a handsome, just a cool brother. He didn't look like a beast warrior like that, you know what I mean? He didn't look like that, so
The Lord always
he was really about it, though.
I was gonna say the Lord always chooses the people that you don't expect.
Exactly.
The least expected.
So
You have more.
that's basically, I just wanted to land me back off that point, showing how David wasn't expected to be in that role. And even David was like, I'm supposed to be the king? Like,
Oh yeah, he was surprised.
he couldn't believe it, man.
But I just had a point on that too, because the Lord opened up the door for David because of his gift in the first place. Let's get 1 Samuel 16 and 16.
The book of 1
Is it
Samuel.
verse?
The book of 1 Samuel, chapter 16 and verse 16. Let our Lord now command thy servants which are before thee to seek out a man who is a cunning player on a harp, and it shall come to pass when the evil spirit from the Most High is upon thee, that he shall play with his hand, and thou shalt be well. And Saul said unto his servants, Provide me now a man that can play well, and bring him to me. Then he answered one of his servants and said, Behold, I have seen a son of Jesse, the Bethlehemite, that is cunning in playing, a mighty valiant man, and a man of war, and prudent in matters, and a comely person, and the Lord is with him.
See that? So David, he knew how to play the harp, so that opened up doors for him to be to have a good name amongst the king. Let's get Proverbs 18 and verse 16. To be in that leadership position from the get, to be chosen, to have that good name amongst, the king. You got it.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 18 and verse 16. A man's gift maketh room for him.
What the Lord said?
A man's gift maketh room for him.
So David knew how to play the harp cunningly, better than anybody. So you could have been like, all right, he just know how to play the harp. But that made room for him to be amongst the king, to have a good name, to be a warrior, then to be the son-in-law of the king, then eventually be the king. Understand?
That's mighty.
You got it.
And bringeth him before great men.
And bringeth him before great men. So the Lord give you a gift, a talent. You gotta love it. You know, because He gonna bring you before who? Yahweh Shah. You understand? You get Proverbs 17:8.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 17 and verse 8. A gift is as a precious stone in the eyes of him that hath it.
So like I said, the best gift the Lord gave us is this truth, this knowledge. You understand? So it's like a precious stone. If you ever had a diamond, you know, or some gold, or even some money, some wealth, it's precious before your eyes. You ain't gonna just throw it away. You understand? Same thing with this truth. You got it?
Whithersoever it turneth, it prospereth.
So your gift, whether that's playing the harp, know how to make clothes, know how to make garments, it's gonna get you in places that you never expected. You know, so you got it. Really got it.
I got a quick precept to land back off that.
That's facts. David did not, he wasn't expecting that. He didn't wake up and, I'm going to be king. He wasn't moving in the spirit of, what's that movie, The Lion King? What was that song? I can't wait to be king.
Oh, he's on.
Yeah, he didn't move in that spirit. You can bring out Amos 7 and 12. It just goes to show you that, you know, that's, can you get Proverbs 16:33, Bible Shard? We're going to get that first. It just goes to show that the lot is really given from the Lord.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 16 and verse 33. The lot is cast into the lap, but the whole disposing thereof is of the Lord.
It's all of Yahweh Shemi Yahweh Shai.
Right.
Can you bring out Proverbs 21 and 1?
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 21 and verse 1, and it reads, The king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh.
Go ahead.
As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will.
So the Lord already predestined for David to be on the scene to be king. David didn't know. He had no idea. But, I mean, that's his lot. So you can go to Sirach. What was I going to get? Amos 7 to 12. What?
It's the book of Amos, chapter 7 and verse 12. Also, Amaziah said unto Amos, O thou seer, go, flee away into a land of Judah, and there eat bread, and prophesy there.
Yeah, get the hell out of the city. You know, go to Judah, eat your bread. Go prophesy to them. Go ahead.
But prophesy not again any more at Bethel, for it is the king's chapel, and it is the king's court.
Right. So, you know, you got to think of how Amaziah is saying this. He's not saying this kindly. He's saying this very rudely. Go ahead.
Then answered Amos and said unto Amaziah, I was no prophet, neither was I a prophet's son, but I was a herdman and a gatherer of sycamore fruit. And the Lord took me.
And the Lord what?
And the Lord took me
Go ahead.
as I followed the flock. And the Lord said unto me, Go, prophesy unto my people Israel.
Amaziah was, it's like it, Amos was never expecting that. He didn't wake up and just say, I'm going to prophesy. He just became mighty overnight and started performing miracles. And he was literally just dealing with the sheep one day, and he heard the Lord. And that's deep. Similar thing happened with David. He just heard the Lord, go prophesy to my people. You know, you can only imagine how he was feeling. There's some brothers that had dreams coming to the truth. And their dreams were similar to that of Amos and David. You shall prophesy to my people. The Lord is coming. You know, the Lord can come to you in any type of way. But nevertheless, the point is this, that the lot is cast to the lap of the Lord. It's like the lot is cast from the Lord. So if it's your position to be a leader, or to be a singer, or to perform this, or to be a helper, whatever the case is, that's your lot. And you should deal with it. You have to deal with it. The Lord gave you that. And there's no turning away or denouncing it, or at least it shouldn't be. And neither can you, oh, let me get this real quick. You can get
Point. I was just gonna make a quick point, because if you try to run from it, you already know what happened. Everybody already know what happened to Jonah, so.
I read that yesterday. We're going to get that. That's the spirit. I read that last night. Let's just get it real quick.
I was gonna put Jonah 1 to 3.
Con, you got it. You bring out Jonah 1 and 1 through 3.
It's the book of Jonah, chapter 1 and verse 1. Not a word of the Lord came unto Jonah, the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry against it, for the wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah rose up to flee unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord, and went down to Joppa. And he found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare thereof.
So he's running away from the Lord. He's ran away from his will, from his work, from his ministry. Go ahead. And that's disrespectful. The Lord gave you a gift and you run away from it. I don't want it. I'm okay. Thank you. That's ungrateful. And when for you brothers that turn into the world, that's what you're doing. I don't need this. I don't need this gift. I'm okay. I want to continue to talk to Tanisha. I want to continue to talk to Rael and Tyrone and whoever. Go ahead.
And went down into it to go with them unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord.
Oh, that sounds bad. You're leaving from the presence of the Lord. That's scary.
He left. He was scared.
Uh,
Why you leave?
I got a quick point on that too. Because the Lord sent them to, what's the city he sent them to?
Come on, Nineveh.
Yeah, Nineveh. He went all the way out the way to
Tarshish.
Tarshish. That's like way out the way. When he could have just did what the Lord told him to do.
You gonna go the whole opposite.
It's off.
He went the whole opposite way, bro.
That's sometimes when you're doing your own
Paying
thing,
the fare. Like, he got
you going all out the way, and the Lord only wanted you to do something small, you know.
Oh,
When
that's
you're doing
so
your own thing, all out the way. You know?
You made your life a hell of a lot harder than what it was.
Exactly.
See how the Most High give you a plain, simple path, and you may see it as a burden. And then when you do your own thing, it just becomes difficult. That's why it's in Sirach, he that lived his life without a guide is better than he. It's like, I don't want to misquote that. We gotta pull that up. That's Sirach. We gotta find that one.
That's folly, man. He paid the fare. He dipped out. This is crazy, man.
So right, 20
It's 20 and 32.
There you go.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 20 and verse 22. Necessary patience in seeking the Lord is better than he that leadeth his life without a guide.
Necessary patience in seeking the Lord. All you have to do is be patient. Be patient and see what the Lord's going to do for you. It's way better than living your life without a guide. 'Cause that's what you do when you're in the world. Who's structuring you? Who's going to tell you how to build your family? You have no guide in the world. It's just you and your carnal, nasty-ass thoughts. And
Movies.
rap movies, you watching Belly 24/7, taking notes. Okay, and money. Good luck, brother. Good luck. You're gonna end up just like how they did. You can, was it more, was more, is that another one?
Nah, that's really it.
I got a precept on that too.
Just to show you flair.
Proverbs 19 and 3.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 19 and verse 3. The foolishness of man perverted his way.
So a fool will pervert his way from the Lord, right? You will lead his truth. You will forsake your gift, right? You're gonna pervert your way and continue, and then it get harder for you, right? You got it.
And his heart fretteth against the Lord.
And then you get mad at the Lord. Why is my life so hard now? But you didn't do what the Lord wanted you to do. So, that's why the Lord said in Romans 8 and 28, all things work for good for them that fear him.
Yeah.
Understand? I just wanted to point on that real quick.
Beautiful point. You can go back to Jonah chapter 3 again, or chapter 1, verse 3, 3 down to 4.
When you read 3, you gotta read 4. Just to see what happened after you replayed it.
Okay.
I just had a precept, but all right. 3 verse. Oh, you said 3 verse 4?
1 and 4.
Verse 4.
1 and 4.
Just keep reading. That's a little more.
It's the book of Jonah, chapter 1 and verse 4. But the Lord sent out a great wind into the sea, and there was a mighty tempest in the sea, so that the ship was like to be broken. Then the mariners were afraid, and cried every man unto his God, and cast forth the oars that were in the ship into the sea, to lighten it of them. But Jonah was gone down into the sides of the ship, and he lay and was fast asleep.
Yeah, Jonah's something else. He fled and just fell asleep. Hey, that's Jake in the world. They flee and just fall asleep back into the world.
Drifting in the boat.
Yeah, drifting in the boat.
The Lord's gonna destroy them shit. That's the funny thing.
You got it.
Verse 6. So the shipmaster came to him, and said unto him, What meanest thou, O sleeper? Arise, call upon thy God, if so be that God will think upon us, that we perish not. And they said every one to his fellow, Come, let us cast lots, that we may know for whose cause this evil is upon us. So they cast lots, and a lot fell upon Jonah. And they
Right. So basically, cast lots. Like, why is the ship being destroyed? They throwing everything out the ship to light this, so they don't sink. All hell breaking loose because they was sleeper. Like, you could go, that's up, man. Like, what's going on? Call your God, man. So you get saved. They all yelling out to their gods. Because it's different people on this ship, different nations. Bring it up.
Verse 8. Then they said unto him, Tell us, we pray thee, for whose cause this evil is upon us? What is thine occupation? And whence comest thou? What is thy country? And of what people art thou?
Like, who are you, man? Who the hell are you? Why is this happening? That's what's going on, right, Reed?
And he said unto him, I am in Hebrew, and I fear the Lord, the God of heaven, which have made the sea and the dry land.
Hey, you went the hell on. Here it is, you fleeing from the Lord, and now you trying to boast in it. Like, I fear the Lord.
Right.
Yeah. I'm a Hebrew, I fear Yahweh. It's like, you literally just ran from the Lord. And he know all hell breaking loose. So we went the hell off. So we understand what happened.
Throw me in the water.
So they ended up, read the account for yourself, but he ended up getting swallowed up, man, by a large fish, a whale. And he got swallowed by a whale for 3 days due to his disobedience. So you can't run from your gift either, man. The Lord can't call you to do something. You say, I ain't gonna deal with it. No, you gotta magnify that gift that the Lord clearly presented before you. Right, that'd be off if you didn't know how to edit videos, XYZ. You just kind of hide that in the wind. That's folly. The Lord will jam you up like he did Jonah.
Right. I was holding, I wanted to finish this real quick because I was still holding 2nd Maccabees. I'm gonna get 2 more. That's all right, 4 and 26. Because on the contrary, you don't want to force your gift either. You don't want to force the course of the river. And I'm only using this as an example. You trying to edit videos, and you damn near get a virus in your laptop. Brother, you don't need to be doing that, brother. Stop. You damn near, you deleted the whole channel by accident, trying to do something you can't do. Or you trying to, heal somebody with some remedies, and you made them sick. They worse than they were before. Sorry, I read the book. Why you trying to force the course of the river? You gotta let things come natural. The brother's just sick and pain, and you made it worse. You got it.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 4, and verse 26. Be not ashamed to confess thy sins, and force not the course of the river.
You don't want to force the flow of what the Lord, already has in place. You don't want to frustrate the prophecies. You don't want to frustrate the things he already has going for you. Right? So if he's slowly building you up to know the history, not to say you can't do multiple things through the Spirit, but don't try to give your time to something that you know you don't need to be doing, brother. You know you don't need to be doing that. I'm trying to learn 3 different languages. Well, brother, you got a family. Take some time to do the family stuff and kind of, See how the Spirit guides you. You don't need to go out your way to learn 3, 4 languages. Trying to learn German, Spanish, Japanese, and Cantonese. That's unprofitable. To a certain point, it's unprofitable.
But don't know the milk.
You don't know the milk. You don't know, you can't remember one verse in Deuteronomy. You don't know how to relate it to the people. And here you are trying to learn 4 languages. So you can go to 2 Maccabees 4, because this man was trying to force the course of the river. And even at Acts was at the 8th chapter. Man was trying to force the course of the river. Man, let me buy the Holy Ghost. Let me buy the Spirit from y'all. I want that. He said, hey, this is not your lot. You can bring out 2 Maccabees 4 and 7.
The book of 2 Maccabees chapter 4 and verse 7. But after the death of Seleucus, when Antiochus called Epiphanes took the kingdom, Jason, the brother of Onias, labored under the hand to be high priest, promising unto the king by intercession 360 talents of silver, and of another in review 80 talents. Besides this, he promised to assign 150 more, if he might have license to set him up a high place for exercise and for training up of youth in the fashions of the heathen, and to write them of Jerusalem by the name of the Antiochians.
Right, so Jason's underhanded his brother. He wants to be the, really, there's more accounts, there's like 3 or 4 more other accounts, where he really wants to be the high priest. And he's just trying to he's trying to weasel his way in there. He's bringing money to the king. Let me do my thing over here real quick. The Lord didn't tell you to put up a place of exercise. The Lord never told you to do that. You thinking you're doing something good because Israel gathered together. No, brother, it's backwards. It's completely contrary to what the Lord wanted. Now you got Jake wearing hats and throwing discs. Naked, butt ass naked.
Damn.
Oh,
And then, if you further read in the chapter, then it gave money to Hercules, and then all hell broke loose after that, But you can read that on your own account. This is what happens when you try to force the course of the river.
because he wanted into a spot that wasn't for him.
Wasn't for you, brother.
Trying to force the course of the river.
Keep reading.
No, you bring out your precept. I had a precept. You go first. 1 Corinthians 12, 6 and 7. 12 4.
It's the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 4. Now there are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit. And there are differences of administrations, but the same Lord. And there are diversities of operations, but it is the same God, which worketh all in all. But the manifestation of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal. For to one is given by the Spirit the word of wisdom, and to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit. To another faith by the same Spirit. To another gifts of healing by the same Spirit. To another the working of miracles. To another prophecy. To another discerning of spirits. To another diverse kinds of tongues. To another the interpretation of tongues. But all these worketh that one and the same Spirit, dividing to every man severally as he will.
Can you read the last 2 verses, the Prophet?
Verse 12. It's the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 30. Have all the gifts of healing? Do all speak in tongues? Do all interpret? But covet earnestly the best gifts, and yet I show you unto you a more excellent way.
Right, so not everybody's going to have the same gift. It is what it is. Can you go to Baruch? It's like your Bell and the Dragon. I think that's 1 and 33. Where Habakkuk is making pottage.
It's the book of Bell and the Dragon, chapter 1 and verse 33. Now there was a Jewry, a prophet, called Habakkuk, who made pottage, and had broken bread in a bowl, and was going into the field for to bring it to the reapers. But an angel of the Lord said unto Habakkuk, Go, carry the dinner that thou hast into Babylon unto Daniel, who is in the lion's den. And Habakkuk said, Lord, I never saw Babylon, neither do I know where the den is. And the angel of the Lord took him by the crown and bare him by the hair of his head, and through the vehemency of his spirit set him in Babylon over the den. And
Right.
Habakkuk,
It's like a real quick, you would wear pottage. Just want to paint the picture and demonstrate to Israel how everybody's going to have their prophet, their special position in life. Can we go to images? To really paint the picture, this man Habakkuk is mighty. He was making food and pottage for the reapers. You didn't have to do that. Yeah, so Habakkuk knew how to cook. I'm sure it wasn't too salty. I'm sure it wasn't over-seasoned. I'm sure it wasn't undercooked. He made pottage for the men that was in the field just laboring.
And that's generous.
That's generous, that's charity, and that's him being that help. So again, some people may be a help. Other brothers, they was mighty in the field reaping. They was reaping for a reason. They were strong. They could endure the weather. Everybody's going to have their special lot of position, but prophesying is very mighty as well. That's what Paul is exhortating. Prophesying, you can't go wrong with it. Right? It's beautiful to prophesy the downfall of a city and a nation. Right? See how Tobit felt when he saw the prophecy come to pass? Prophecy can exhort you. Prophecy can put you in the spirit. Prophecy can make you want to fast. Prophecy is a mighty gift as well. But nevertheless, we find that Habakkuk made this pottage thinking he's going to go to the reapers, but end up going to who? David. And it's like not David, but Daniel. That'd be crazy. But Daniel. And what was Daniel's lot? And he was just set up on high.
I didn't appreciate it.
God.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, and verse 26. Ponder the path of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established.
Yeah, that's plain upon tables. You gotta sit down and meditate. What is my path? What should I do? How do I serve the Lord? You gotta stir up that gift. You gotta stir it up. And to stir something, it takes effort and energy. You ever stir some eggs? Your arm kind of gets tired after a little bit. You gotta constantly stir up that gift, that spirit within you, and activate it to the highest potential. Can you go to Ezra 2 and 68?
This is the book of Ezra, chapter 2, and verse 68. And some of the chief of the fathers, when they came into the house of the Lord, which is at Jerusalem, offered freely.
Offered what?
Offered freely.
They offered themselves freely.
So what?
For the house of the Most High, to set it up in his place.
So that was their lot, and they offered themselves freely. Most High put in their spirit, Salakia, to build up the house of the Lord, and they offered themselves freely. You got to offer yourself freely unto the Lord. The Lord gave you the talent to know Spanish. Brother, you better offer yourself freely when you see a brother from Northern Kingdom walking by. You better offer yourself freely. If you see there's no water and you just got an abundance of water at your crib for no damn reason, brother, you better offer yourself freely. That's the time. The Lord's going to grant you opportunity to bless your brothers. He's going to give you opportunities to get blessings. But are you going to take advantage? Are you going to do what you can? Are you going to put your hand to the plow? You get one more Sirach 37 and 24.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 27, and verse 24.
Right.
A wise man shall be filled with blessing, and all that see him shall count him happy.
Read that again.
A wise man shall be filled with blessing, and all they that see him shall count him happy.
You're going to count him happy because it feels good to do the work of the Lord. It really does feel good. It put a smile on your face. It literally, oh man, I was mighty. Kind of just thinking about it, smiling. Okay. Put you in a good spirit. Nothing in the world is comparable to that. Knowing that you was able to help out your brothers through the spirit. In whatever degree, whatever matter. With that, I give.
I appreciate it. Or your brothers had it first.
I quit.
Appreciate it.
So right, 33 And 24? 37.
37 and 24.
Yep, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7 and verse 13.
It's the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7 and verse 13.
Right?
I learned diligently
The Lord said, I learned diligently.
and do communicate her liberally. I
So
do.
start at 12.
12.
Yeah, read this again.
It's the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7 and verse 12.
Right?
And I rejoice in them all, because wisdom goeth before them,
Right?
and I knew not that she was the mother of them.
Right, so wisdom, talking about this, the mother of them. So this is talking about wisdom when he said, I communicate, I learn diligently. Right, so this is talking about wisdom, right? Bring it up.
I learn diligently and do communicate her liberally.
Right?
I do not hide her riches.
Like we read liberally earlier, meant giving generous amounts. So he learned diligently and he freely spurts out that wisdom. Right? That's how you gotta be with any gift you get, man. You gotta freely get that gift out. Right? Keep reading.
For she is a treasure unto men that never faileth,
Right?
which they that use become the friends of God.
Right? You use wisdom, you become the friend of God. So why would you, if you love your brothers, why would you hide that wisdom when you know if you give it to them, they can be a friend of the Most High? It's like Abraham was the Most High's friend. Right? Enoch walked with God. So we want all our brothers and sisters to walk with the Most High. So that's why we learn diligently, and we don't labor for ourselves for all that seek that learn. Right? And that's what this thing is about. So any of your gifts, it should be to magnify the Lord, give them that wisdom, bring them closer to the Lord in some way, fashion, or form. Right? So that's all I wanted to bring out that precept.
And I just wanted to say, because the Lord did it for us. Let's get Ephesians 4 and verse 8.
It's the book of Ephesians, chapter 4 and verse 8. Wherefore he saith, when he ascended up on high, he led captivity captive.
The Lord ascended on high. How do you have to ascend? He had to die for the nation of Israel. When he led captivity captive, he led sin captive. He overcame sin. He overcame death. He overcame the flesh. He overcame this world. Continue.
And gave gifts unto men.
And gave what?
And gave gifts unto men.
So the Lord died for us to have a gift, to have this truth, this knowledge, this wisdom, to be able to teach, to be able to exhort, to be able to do the things that we do. So I just want to bring out that point, and I got another one, Proverbs 11 and 25.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 11 and verse 25. The liberal soul shall be made fat, and he that watereth shall water also himself.
Shall be watered also himself. So like, we don't do this not only for our people, not only for ourselves, but we do this for our people. So when we do this, we're doing this to save the nation of Israel, but that's going to solidify our spot to the kingdom. You understand? That's the Lord. That's what Paul said. For the elect's sake. I believe that's first Timothy 2 and 10 or 2 Timothy 2 and 10.
2 Timothy 2 and 10.
Come, there you go.
Now remember how even in the New Testament, so God,
In Acts, where even really, even outside of Acts, where it says great fear fell upon all of them. Great fear fell upon all of them due to the gift that was stirred up by that single man. And I wanted Colossians, it's like here, 1 Timothy 4 and 1. No, it's like Ephesians 4 and 1. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 1.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 4 and verse 1. I, therefore, the prisoner of the Lord, beseech you, that ye walk worthy of the vocation wherewith ye are called.
We got to dive into that word vocation. Can we Google that, Baba Kashar? You have to walk worthy in a vocation. Enoch walked worthy. Our forefathers walked worthy in a position wherein they were called. But are you? Vocation, a strong feeling or suitability or particular career or occupation. All right, what is your special suit or your special skill being in this truth? Again, that comes with meditation, perhaps maybe even counsel, or something that you may have already been good at in the world that you can translate and the truth to benefit Israel. Again, whether that be knowing finances, whether you know in finances or anything, damn near anything, construction, heaters, how to mount TVs, I don't know, anything.
How to cut grass.
How to cut
How to
grass,
cut hair.
hair. Hey man, there's a lot of gifts in this thing.
How to save.
How to what?
How to save.
Yeah, how to save money.
Love your brother.
Not everything gotta be, laying hands on you, healing them. Not everything's gonna be like super deep spiritual gifts. You just know a set of languages, A lot of things that you may think are carnal or just lame, those are gifts. You don't want to discredit it because it may seem carnal in your eyes. Yeah, I guess I know how to put books back together. That doesn't translate to the truth. Brothers' books fall apart every day. If you know how to do that, brother, help them. Brothers don't we love the scriptures, but when you get a new scripture, you got to translate the notes, you got to do the highlights all over. If brothers could, they probably stick to one scripture or one book. Brothers be losing books. They kind of rip. When you rip a page or a book, your heart kind of sink. Man, you kind of feel grief. But if you know how to kind of put the page back together seamlessly and it look nice and brand new, brother, that's your gift. Stir it up. Somebody had it?
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. First Maccabees 2:68.
It's the book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 2, and verse 68. Recompense fully the heathen, and take heed to the commandments of the law. So he blessed him and was gathered to his fathers.
Yeah, first Maccabees.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he died in 140.
It's like it's 64.
64. It's the book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 2, and verse 64. Wherefore, you my sons, be valiant, and show yourselves men in behalf of the law, for by it shall you obtain glory. And behold, I know that your brother Simon is a man of counsel.
So Simon, he was a man of counsel, and his father, he knew, all the gifts that his sons, had. All right, great.
Give ear unto him always, he shall be a father unto you. As for Judas Maccabeus, he hath been mighty and strong. Even from his youth up, let him be a captain, and fight the battle of the people. Take also unto you all those that observe the law, and avenge ye the wrong of your people.
It's like in Judas, he had that spirit, that spirit of leadership, right? He knew how to lead the people, right? But that's really it.
That's beautiful. Our father saw the potential and the gifts that they each possessed. And he's telling them to magnify it, utilize it. He's telling them to do that. That's exhortation. Oh, yeah.
Precept.
No.
You got it.
It's the book of Romans, chapter 12, and verse number 4. Through 4. For as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office, so we being many are one body in Hamashiach, and every one members one of another, having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us. Whether prophesy, let us prophesy according to the proportion of faith. Or ministry, let us wait on our ministering. Or he that teaches on teaching. Or he that exhorteth on exhortation. He that giveth, let him do it with simplicity. He that ruleth with diligence. And he that showeth mercy with cheerfulness. Let love be without dissimulation. Abhor that which is evil, cleave unto that which is good.
That's a mighty precept to show the different gifts that the Lord give you and how you magnify that particular gift. Right? It's all throughout the scriptures about knowing your role, playing your role, magnifying your role. Right? You got certain brothers, they feel like they close to the Most High, so they constantly want to pray for brothers all day throughout the group chat. Send me your prayers morning. Send me your prayers at night. Right? It's not always about what's seen on the goddamn camera and all that folly, man. It's different and deeper than that, man. As the brother said, it could be carnal. Brothers might be mighty with prayer. Brother might have been married, 10 years. He giving counsel out for marriage. Brother might be just older, more experienced. It's just different levels to anything you can give with gifts, man.
And another mighty one is singing. And brother, singing is truth. I'm looking at some singers and rappers. I'm looking at y'all. And guess what? I press those brothers out because I want to hear music.
That's right, brother.
It literally put me in a spirit. When you at work and you just slaving away, the moment I hear some truth music, I get kind of bold. I get kind of strong.
See that?
We dealing with Edomites all day. I'm like, hold up. I'm an Israelite. What's going on? You realize who you are again. It gives you life. I'm dead. When I be at work, when I put on some truth music, hey man, it's over. Put me in a spirit. Put a smile on my face. Start working faster, It is what it is. But nevertheless, it'll put you in a good spirit.
I got a precept about
God.
Romans 12:3.
It's the book of Romans, chapter 12 and verse 3. For I say, though the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as the Most High hath dealt to every man the measure of faith.
So the Most High has distributed a portion of faith to each individual. Everybody don't have the same level of faith. Like when you read about Timothy, he had a high level of faith. But go to John chapter 20 and verse 24.
It's the book of John, chapter 20 and verse 24. But Thomas, one of the 12, called Didymus, was not with them when Yahushua came. The other disciples therefore said unto him, We have seen the Lord. But he has said unto them, Except I see in his hands the print of the nails, and put my finger into the print of the nails, and thrust my hand into his side, I would not believe.
So Thomas, he actually needed a physical sign to, believe the Lord had came back. All right? So every man's faith is different. The other disciples, they probably would have believed it, right? But brother got it.
No, that's a good point. Even the disciples.
The mighty men, the mighty disciples, the 12 that will be judging Israel, even they still had some of their faults. Peter said, who walked in water and fell? He had faith, but they ain't stopped having it. You saw all the miracles, they ain't just stopped having it. That's nuts. He said, hey man, yeah, Lord, I die for you. I will never, give you up. And then he doubted him twice.
It was like, who is that?
I don't know. 3 times. He said of a certain, something that, we gotta get that account. We gotta get that account. He said of a certain, I don't know him. Yeah, he started railing. That was off. He said, hey, I don't know him. Leave me alone. Talking about Shemai, I don't know him.
It's a lot of
Yeah, it's really a lot. It's a few.
It's all throughout each one.
It's about 26.
Whichever gospel.
For sure, man. Yeah. Like Matthew. Like 26.
I'm at 26 right
You
now.
can get 26
You got it?
Mhm.
and 74.
It really is starting at like 68, 69.
All right, start there.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 26, verse 69. Now Peter came without in the palace, and a damsel came unto him, saying, Thou also wast with Yahushua of Galilee.
You was with him. Go ahead.
But he denied before them all, saying, I know not what thou sayest.
You lied. Go ahead.
And when he was gone out into the porch, another maid saw him, and said unto them that were there, This fellow was also with Yahushua of Nazareth. And again he denied them with an oath, I do not know the man.
Man, you oath. You took an oath. And he got 2 witnesses against him right now.
That's the Lord living.
That's bad.
Damn.
Go ahead.
That's like Jason. I swear to God, bro.
Oh.
Damn.
straight.
Verse 73. And after a while came unto him they that stood by, and said unto Peter, surely thou art one of them, for thy speech bewrayeth thee.
Yeah, you got the same lingo, you kind of talking the same. You are with him. Go ahead.
Then began he to curse and swear, saying,
Uh-huh.
I know not the man. And immediately the cock crew.
He cursing them out.
He was cursing them out. I don't know, kind of shaking the hand.
Is a curse ain't a cuss word. He was throwing curses up on him.
Yeah.
Swearing and throwing curses on him.
He said it 3 times.
Lord will put you to death, man. A liar. You know, that's
He turned into a liar. He turned into a lot of things that day. But he's still a part of the 12, still a part of the elect. You know, most have mercy on whom we have mercy. You know, in that moment, you know, he had the short mercies of David upon him. So, you know, that's not to say you can, you know, do whatever you want. I have hope the Lord will have mercy. You got to be careful with your speech. Because that's in there for a reason. That's for our learning, for our understanding. But nevertheless, you know, all going back to magnifying your gift, you know, even the prophets had gifts. But I was going to get another point. Was there more that you want to say? You can go to Colossians 4 and 9. You should start at verse 7.
It's the book of Colossians chapter 4 and verse 7. All my state shall Tychicus declare unto you, who is a beloved brother, and a faithful minister, and a fellow servant in the Lord, whom I have set unto you for the same purpose, that he may know your estate and comfort your hearts.
So this man, he knew, not only did he know him, but he knew how to comfort hearts. He was a comforter. That's a mighty gift as well. Knowing how to comfort brothers, kind of ease them, make them at ease. Go ahead.
With Onesimus, a faithful and beloved brother, who is one of you, they shall make known unto you all the things which are done here.
Right, so Onesimus was a very faithful and beloved brother. Go ahead.
Aristarchus, my fellow prisoner, saluteth you, and Marcus, sisters, son to Barnabas, touching whom ye received commandments.
Go ahead.
If he come unto you, receive him. And Yahushua, which is called Justice, Jesus, who are of the circumcision, these only are my fellow workers unto the kingdom of Yahweh, which have been a comfort unto me.
And they've been a comfort unto me. And Paul even said in his letters, ye are my pride, or ye are my joy. Why? Because they had mighty gifts that also comforted him. Put him in a good spirit as well. You think Paul was mighty 24/7, 365? Obviously, you know, he was going through it. You don't think he wanted somebody to kind of comfort him, give him some exhortation, kind of give him some counsel?
That's pretty
Yeah, one more. It was verse 12.
Verse 12, Epaphras, who is one of you, a servant of Hamashiach, saluteth you, always laboring fervently for you in prayers, that ye may stand perfect and complete in all the will of God.
And so this man, Epaphras, and he was laboring fervently, and he prayed constantly. So, you know, it just goes to show how even in Paul's circle, every person had their own special gift and duty.
closing precept.
I'm going to get closing precepts.
Hey, you can get one there before.
Oh, yeah. Matthew 19 to 12.
Yeah, closing precept.
It's the book of Matthew chapter 19 and verse 12. For there are some eunuchs which were born from the mother's womb, and there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men. And there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake.
So you have certain men that's they gift is being a eunuch, just being not having a wife. Like, you know, Jeremiah or Paul, like certain men are set up and have that gift of not, you know, craving that wife or just having that straight focus on the Lord to get the kingdom.
Which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it.
Yeah, that's plain upon tables.
I have precept Romans 11 and 13.
It's the book of Romans chapter 11 and verse 13. For I speak to you as Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify my office.
And why was Paul the apostle of the Gentiles? Because who would be more perfect than Paul to be an apostle to the Gentiles? Because he was a Gentile himself. He knew he was a Jew, but in his mindset, in his mind, he was a Gentile. You know, he's persecuting the church. You know, he was going off. You know, that's it on that.
Right.
So he magnified his office too.
It's a good point. You bring out Sirach 33 and verse 5.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 33, and verse 5. The heart of the foolish is like a cartwheel, and his thoughts are like a rolling axle tree.
What verse is that?
Verse 5.
You said, was that 35?
Oh, 35?
Yeah, so like I meant, Sirach 35 and verse 4.
Okay. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 35, and verse 4. Thou shalt not appear empty before the Lord, for all these things are to be done because of the commandment.
Right, you don't want to appear empty before the Lord. The Lord gave you a talent. Don't appear empty before him when he returns. Go ahead.
The offering of the righteous maketh the altar fat, and the sweet savor thereof is before the Most High.
Because remember, at the end of the day, whatever your gift may be, parabolically speaking, that's a talent. And the Lord's going to come back and he wants to see how well have you utilized that talent. Whether it's going into history, going into the tech, going into finance, going into counsel, going into comfort, going into prophecy, going into languages, going into history, whatever the case is, right? So parabolically speaking of, in that parable, it's a talent. Go ahead.
The sacrifice of a just man is acceptable, and the memorial thereof should never be forgotten.
And when you sacrifice yourself wholly and give yourself freely unto the Lord, meaning the labor is not worth, it's like the labor is worthy of his reward. Come.
Okay, yeah, Hebrews chapter 2, verse 16.
It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 2, and verse 16.
Right?
For verily he took not on him the nature of angels, but he took on him the seed of Abraham.
It's talking about Yahweh Shah. So Yahweh Shah himself, he didn't come as an angelic force, or he came from the seed of Abraham, same seed and blood as you, right? So Yahweh Shah, right, he came on the earth, magnified his office. He came on the earth and did what he had to do. So how much more us? And Yahweh Shah was that perfect example, right? Can you read it?
Wherefore in all things it behooved him to be made like unto his brethren.
Right, Yahweh Shah is our brother, man. This is deep. So you gotta understand, everybody has to have a gift, and that gift is very important because we made in the exact image and likeness as the Lord himself. Right, can you read it?
That he might be a merciful and faithful high priest, and for things pertaining to the Most High, to make reconciliation for the sins of the people.
Right, because that was his purpose. But you may have another purpose. But you come from the seed line of Abraham. You Christ's brother. You a brother to the angels. You're the chosen. We always bring it up. Deuteronomy 7 and 6. So never look down on yourself and understand that you have a purpose and a gift and it's true. And it's just as important as the next man. Or the Lord would have gave that to you. Right, so brothers, just remember that and magnify that gift.
I got one last one. Philippians 1 and 20.
It's the book of Philippians, chapter 1, and verse 20.
Right.
According to my earnest expectation and my hope, that in nothing I shall be ashamed.
So we don't want to be ashamed, like the brother said, at the Lord's coming, that we didn't magnify our office enough. You know, you got it.
But that with all boldness, as always, so now also Hamashiach shall be magnified in my body, whether it be by life or by death.
And that's how we got to look at our office. We got to live this truth. Also, we got to die for this truth. So you got it.
Verse 21.
That's it.
With that, Abaratazai Israel has been edified, well fed through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai by the Sabbath service, how to magnify your gift. Shalom.
Shalom.
Kwemeshra.
Come here, Shalom.
Kwemeshra.
Come here, Shalom.
Kwemeshra.
Come here, Shalom. Sitting on the cancel the video. I don't know you. I know how to cancel that. Help the brother out. It's an X right there, Ken.